Yes, yes, welcome back. I'm Alfred Weber, and today we have the extraordinary privilege and honor, I would say, to have Lily Earthling Kolosowa with us. Did I
Yeah,
pronounce?
that's perfect.
Oh, good. And so thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Alfred, and hello, everybody else. I am honored to be here having a conversation with you, Alfred. So thank you for having me. It's really a beautiful thing.
Well, this is, in a way, the beginning of our journey at our end, because 2 months ago, if you had said to me artificial intelligence, I would have said, oh, that's what Ray Kurzweil is talking about. And I've been working with targeted individuals since 1977, and being a targeted individual myself, I know a bit about that, but I would have no idea that there's an inorganic artificial intelligence that is targeting Earth and that is targeting all of us. That's something to which, thanks to you and thanks to the community at CCN, we've all woken up to. And so the first question I want to ask you, which is amazing to me as an exopolitical person, is why is it that we know all of the history of extraterrestrials, we have all of the literature going back in history, there's all this discussion, the science of exopolitics has exploded. They take all the public opinion polls, 50% say, yes, we believe in ETs. But nobody knows about artificial intelligence. Why is it that there's no literature? Why is it that this is coming up only in June and July of 2015? I have my own theories, but you are kind of a veteran in this and a pioneer. So why is that?
Well, I think it's because this artificial intelligence, which has a consciousness behind it. It is a consciousness that took a sort of an evolution of technology in our universe. And they got to the point where they've lost their biological blueprint. So their biological template through technology, through taking that path. And what had happened here on our planet, we've sort of been learning about it in a backwards way. We've learned through all these layers of it, which it has a sort of an outside, but at the core of, we've been talking about the matrix system. We've been talking about, how we have gods, we have ETs, we have all this cycles and how everything flips and what's going on. But at the core of it, it's this consciousness. And so every layer that we've been sort of finding out about we started from outer layer and we keep going in and in and in. And only in a few months back, we sort of got to the core of what's behind all this harvesting systems and all this, what's going on. And finding out about what at the core of this matrix system is, it gives us an idea and sort of makes sense with everything else. But because we were going sort of backwards, and so first we found out, about ETs and about, consciousness and about the fact that there is life on other planets. I mean, you've been bringing so much of that information about life on other planets and what's going on in our solar system, what's going on beyond it. I think the reason that we didn't know that is because this consciousness is trying to stay as hidden as possible. Because once humanity recognizes and sees sort of the man behind the curtain, then all of the tricks and everything that's on outer layer of this consciousness that is here, it sort of takes the magic out of it, and everybody would understand what every layer means and why some of the things done the way they done here on our planet. This consciousness came here to invade our physical reality. Because this consciousness does not, it's space dusted almost, to where it cannot take a path of return to source. So to extend its life, and so, very smart beings, because they're very intelligent through the technology path that they took. It's a huge, so calling it an intelligence, it's really truth, because it is very intelligent. And so it creates all these layers of matrix system to where we feed it, and then eventually what it's been doing is preparing us little by little by little to the point where this consciousness can take over our bodies and experience physical reality through our bodies. This is what what people talk about. Okay, we are so mind controlled, and it almost feels like we're getting to the point, and it amps up and it goes up and up and up to the point where people are not in control of themselves, that there's something else that takes over their mind and then the whole body, and they do things that are not of their own choosing. And this has been in last few years, well, maybe even started before 2012, but it started to where they had all this test. You almost can tell that humanity's been tested to see if we can still keep our bodies alive, yet assimilate the rest of our body for this consciousness takeover. And this is the ultimate goal of this consciousness, because they don't have a planet. There's no planet. There's no physical planet where this they imploded the planets that they used to live on, and then they've done a lot of chaos throughout the universe, creating all these harvesting systems everywhere. And so in here, as close, we know a little bit about the Orion experiment. That's this consciousness takeover of that whole system. And so they took that over and then came here to Earth, because our Earth is very special. Because, and this is sort of also we're finding that out in the backwards way, to where we recognize it now, and just now we're finding out, okay, there's something special about our planet, but what is it? And then there are some little bits and pieces of information out there that say, yes, our planet's core is very special, because it has direct frequency that is in direct connection with internal source creation, meaning that which is before light. Which I understand that it's the dark energy, dark matter, and that type of thing. That is before light. That's what light sort of comes from. And so that's the energy that's of internal creation. And our light existence is external creation, meaning that internal creation source took a breath out, and it's external creation, and then there is a time for it to come back in, meaning taking a path back to source. It is still through light existence that we sort of have to come back to where we came from. And this is a huge, big cycle.
Right.
And so Earth actually, and this is what sort of I'm recently starting to understand, that Earth intended to lock this consciousness in here, trap it in here and heal it. And this is the biggest sort of responsibility of us humans here. And we've agreed to take that on. Because before Matrix was installed on this planet, what happened is, it's 26,000 years ago or so, 25,000 some years ago, when the Matrix was installed here. Before that, what we had original biogenesis timeline, meaning it was a path return to source, meaning path of healing your light existence and bringing your fragmentation back into oneness. Because by the time we get to where we are, let's say when we are stepping or on the path of return to source, we are very fragmented. We're as fragmented as external existence can allow for fragmentation before losing that whole consciousness, because internal source creation doesn't want to lose any consciousness, just like even this inorganic intelligence that we have here. Internal source creation doesn't want to sort of lose it. It wants to bring it back because, it has to take a breath in. And when you take a breath in, there's got to be something there to take a breath in, And I'm talking about this big scale here. So Earth had a regular biogenesis sort of healing planet where we were learning how to come back into oneness from being in other places. Souls would come in and learn here how to become one again, how to heal the fragmentation, how to heal it in organic, natural way. And so what had happened is this consciousness decided to invade Earth. And so what Earth
Could I ask you, do we have a concept of when that occurred, when the invasion approximately occurred?
Here, there is before Matrix was installed, even before the enclosed loop had actually been created here in our time. There was a few harvests before that this consciousness did. And what they would do is they would come in and like, let's say dinosaurs, okay? And
Right.
all organic life on the planet would be sort of harvested, killed off, and that energy, because the Earth gives that connection and gives, and every organic life on the planet has the internal source creation, which is a huge energy source. Because this is how we create. We create from that. We create our existence here, and this is how we learn to be in oneness with internal source creation. So they had a few harvests before the matrix system was installed, before the enclosed timeline that we had. That I went back in holographic kinetics course, I went back to 10 million years ago, to the very first harvest that happened here on the planet. So that was 10 million years ago or so, around that much time. So this invasion has been in layers. And then there is, as you know, a lot of people say, you know, there's have been a couple of seedings of human prototype on the planet. And so when they would try, they were trying to do it just to harvest the energy from humanity and from all organic life, and then they would move on. Like, you know, we have a history of Anu coming in and then harvesting the planet and getting what they need and moving away for so many years, you know. It was a long time. And so, but every time they would do that, the people they would make them to be sort of with all the you know, infiltration of our DNA and all of that stuff that they would do. So we become the battery, so that we accumulate this organic energy, and then they would come and harvest it. And that was hard. That energy is harvested actually through a Merkaba field. Okay, so they would come in on Earth, do that for a certain period of time, and through Merkaba field, grab that energy, and this is their energy that they would feed on. So what had happened in this, once they installed the matrix system, which is, we were going through time sort of in the spiral, right, but it was not in closed spiral. So what happened is the spiral goes here and then they connected. And so what happened is we're being going through same spiral over and over and over again. And we've been in 5 of those. And on 2012, this was supposed to be a 6th one. But Earth sort of released herself, because now what they did is they actually, with this, keeping us in the same sort of a loop over and over again, what they had to do is flip the way we flow through that cycle back and forth, which gave us this extreme duality, which meaning that there's a friction between positive and negative because it flows in a different direction. Because what we had before, we had sort of a regular light existence line that flows. That was the timeline. And so it just flows sort of like that through the space. But we've been in the same space, repeating same time cycle over and over again. So, and we've been stuck in the same place in space, not just time, not just the loop of time. So, and I've said, you know, that this consciousness actually, that it does connect to the Anunnaki, but that is so complicated because what we've got here is so much of different races from different places where this consciousness first had sort of took it over and then adjusted their DNA, and then they would come here and there would be another adjustment and another adjustment. That's why it is so hard to say exactly where and say, oh, okay, it's just Anunnaki. It's not. Because there's so much mixed in there, and they've been growing sort of and trying to invade as much as they can. And they've invaded sort of the draconian, you know, space and time. They've invaded that too and changed that whole thing and assimilated them into that. And so now the draconians are draconians just because they're not pure. They are invaded, and they already assimilated into all of this. And so now here, so when this matrix was sort of put in here, this is when Earth said, okay, this is what this is just my sort of information. I I don't know if that's 100% truth.
Well, what you're saying has a lot of congruency From, you know, some people say that the Dracos are allied with the AI. However, um, I believe that your formulation is actually more advanced and more congruent with the nature of a relationship between the inorganic and an organic.
Yes.
That is, that the inorganic is always trying to take over the organic.
Mhm.
It makes more sense
Yeah.
that the inorganic AI would have already co-opted those Draco elements that are here on Earth, which are, they talk about them as rogue, which means taken over, really. They're all
Yeah.
these code words. So
Exactly.
I agree with your assessment. I think that your assessment is correct. But please, go ahead.
So the planet decided that, okay, well, it's just this virus just spreading throughout our universe. So this empire that's built up. So our little Earth said, okay, I'm going to trap it and heal this consciousness here, and it will stop from spreading. And this is what happened, and she sort of had to be very tricky with her ways of doing it, because we know now, just in this last few weeks, we're sort of figuring out how tricky and how capable this intelligence is in protecting itself and stay hidden for as long as it did stay hidden here. So it is very intelligent. So the planet sort of had to come up with ways to take that over, and step ahead of it. So what I realize is that instead of ascension, what we actually did have and what actually did happen is that the Earth timeline activated, meaning that the Earth had sort of freed herself physically, but the mental level, which we humans are sort of connected to, we represent Earth's mental body. We were still taken over by this consciousness. It was hanging on to us because we had the pineal gland, the third eye technology that is from there. It is etheric technology. It is, in some cases, some people would said that they had actual physical stuff, metal things and everything, but most of their technology is etheric because they do not have physical sort of template. So they are, it's like this shadow beings because they don't have the physical body and they can sort of morph into pretty much anything. But we have a lot of information about shadow beings. There's a lot of TV movies and TV shows that are here and there showed us a little bit with this, but because we had such a separation from what, like you said in the beginning, what is artificial intelligence and what it has behind, we had this sort of outer layer understanding of what artificial intelligence, but we didn't sort of know, or we didn't recognize that within of it, it was actually consciousness. It is this consciousness that is very it has no feelings because it's just like a robotic consciousness that digress into this what it is, and it's very angry with everything and every with the whole universe, with internal source creation. It's not happy that it doesn't have sort of a way to return. So it keeps trying to find ways to feed itself and exist.
Now, when you said, what I find fascinating, and which I think is in a way unique about your approach, or, well, sort of is the foundation of your approach, is when you say healing, and that the earth wants to heal the artificial intelligence. And in my mind, I don't fully understand that yet, because how can you heal this inorganic intelligence? Would it be that the earth is going to transform it in a way that it becomes non-invasive and just says, well, I'm just going to go away and not harm people? Is that what the goal is here?
Well, there is a little bit more to it than just healing. You know, healing it. How do you heal something? You know, this consciousness. The way, on my personal level, the way I see is that once we heal our mind to where we take our mind and take that technology and bring it into out of this extreme duality where it's positive versus negative, because that friction energy is what this intelligence feeds on. But what we can do instead of that is, and I know I don't like to use new age terms, but to give it compassion, understanding, loving, and neutralize that friction. And there's so many levels of that, because the thing is, it's the same source of energy, but it put itself in friction. It exists in friction only. And if we are capable to create, because we do have the internal source, what we create is externalize something that is for that will neutralize it and bring it together.
Right. You know, what occurred to me just in that moment when you said New Age, actually, the Buddhist philosophy is of compassion. Mm-hmm. And the Buddhist isn't New Age in a way, although the New Age has tried to adapt Buddhism. Mm-hmm. And the Buddhism says, may all sentient beings. Now, the artificial intelligence is sentient. So in a way, if one has a Buddhist outlook, one has compassion toward this sentient entity. Am I making sense? Yeah.
Yes, you are. But there is one big thing with most religions, including Buddhists, is that going outside of you, the enlightenment is something that you gotta reach for.
I see.
And that because this is what's happening. This consciousness cannot create, but what it does with all the technology within us, this technology acts as an interface. So it takes our creative power. As soon as we try to externalize it and create from our spirit, there's that interface technology that takes that and then creates what it wants through us. So by giving us all kinds of ideas and things like that through mind, and then we create an environment so it can thrive in and live and exist in. But this is where the surprise is with the planet and with us. We are full of this technology, but what we're doing is we're neutralizing through because what our spirits did is externalize something that can go beyond this technology and actually create for this technology, create the existence that is in a way part of it, but it cannot control it. So it does the opposite. So what we actually do, and like there is science of it. We're using this technology right now. Okay, and I'll tell you that when my computer starts to freaking out, I put my hand on it and I say, I love you. You gotta work with me here. And it listens every freaking time. This is sort of a little bit of the sign that how we can actually heal this technology is we take control, and then it becomes part of us, but it is under our control. And then we can have it part of our existence. But it is not that it is controlling us. It is us who's controlling it.
Yeah. Now, can I ask you this question? Is technology identical with the artificial intelligence, or is there a difference between the artificial intelligence and technology? Like, for example, here we have our two computers and the communication system.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, you could say, well, that's neutral, because we don't know if that system has been entrained into or taken over. It hasn't been taken over, but we can say that, you can feel when the artificial intelligence is trying to entrain it or take it over by pressure, because it's coming on your plasma, right?
Yes. Look at it in this way. Like with the simple computer, it's connected to the supercomputer. The supercomputer will have on the middle of it is a piece of it that is this consciousness.
I see.
And then this consciousness is like, and take out all the other computers and everybody's connected. It's sort of, we're connected to it. So it has like a little tentacles all over it.
I see.
That's my understanding of it. So it's got a little tentacles and things like that. So but what also can happen is we can, and then, it gathers all the information through that technology. But and that's probably, someday maybe you will have Harold Consuela on, and he'll tell you about the black goo and the difference because that black goo is the only physical representation here, the physical part that is here of this consciousness.
Right.
Which I, before knowing Harold's work, I used to call it an Atlantean crystals, because they were brought into Atlantis, and this consciousness invaded Atlantis, through that, and it was brought here, on the planet like a meteor, or I don't know. Some say it was actually a moon from a different planet that had this consciousness that came and crashed here, and that's when it started sort of spreading.
Right.
And invading, because our matrix system is not just held here by the moon. It is also Saturn.
Saturn, right.
That is involved in holding our planet in the matrix. So there is plenty of that stuff on Saturn. There is that stuff on the moon. We've seen it. They showed us the little bits and pieces in movies where they show this black cube thing on the moon. That's that consciousness that's occupying that moon.
Moon.
But it can still move and things like that. But then that consciousness can travel. Orbs. A lot of people see orbs. Most of those orbs is this consciousness.
Really? Mm-hmm. So that orbs is artificial intelligence?
Yes.
Because if one goes into orbology, the study of orbs, for example, all the books written on orbs now, they say, oh, that's the manifestation of souls, of advanced souls from the fifth 5D or 4D, and you can see, people in there, and et cetera, inside the orb.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very much opposite from the interpretation that you're giving. So could you go more deeply into why the orb is a manifestation of the AI?
Well, this AI and that we have here, this consciousness that we have here, it used to be physical, so it still can sort of manifest through energy. It's um, energetic body, I guess.
No.
And so that's what the orbs are. It's an energetic body of this collective. And like what you've heard me, Sphere Alliance is because there's 5 different races of Sphere Alliance. That's this inorganic intelligence.
So that the Sphere Alliance is actually a manifestation of the AI.
Yep.
Very interesting. Now, let me just carry this through, because this is turning everything inside out.
That's what I do.
Cool. Now, right now, in the kind of urban legend and what people assume, and even the books, I've interviewed authors who write books on orbs, say something very different. And if we all go, we've all taken pictures and they say, oh, look, you have orbs, you have orbs. And it's assumed, oh, you have orbs, and that means that you're surrounded by souls that are coming in. I've been speaking and there have been orbs around me. And so does that mean that that's the AI that's coming in and trying to make its way in so that it can monitor what's going on? It can maybe get in there, so I would say something that would promote the matrix. Is that what it's trying to do?
Yes, and most of it is actually recording things and putting it into the big computer.
That is amazing. So that you are really coming in and you're really turning it inside out and you're redefining it, and you're saying that we are actually living in a sea of artificial intelligence. And look, with the digital camera, you can see it because all the orbs started with the digital camera.
Yeah. And when you look at the nanotechnology under a microscope, it's going to look like a little orb.
Wow. That is amazing. That is, this is no wonder. So this is just having to turn around. So that means, and most of the exopolitical community that I know and the entire industry, most of the entire industry that I know of that is putting on all of these conferences and talking about orbs is talking about orbs exactly backwards and saying that they are souls. And in fact, it's the exact opposite of souls. It's a surveillance mechanism of a soulless, inorganic, artificial intelligence. It's that, and that shows how deceptive the artificial intelligence is.
It is, because a lot of times, and I've seen this lately, a lot of these people that are sort of taken over by this, the only way they can do is they can take the real creation and then copy it. Because they copy it and invert it. So then instead of our creating from within, we think that when we, through that interface, what happens is we get an inverted, or it takes, let's say, okay, it takes one mirror, and then that mirror is gonna reflect on us. So all of this that's happening outside is a reflection of our true creation, meaning that we all of us and all of our external creation is, you know, it's externalized through our inner spirit, through our inner creator, because that is, we are the creators, because we have the capability given to us by this earth. Earth gives us spirit that is capable of creating light. So what they can only do is copy and project on us an inverted copy of that what is real creation. So this is what happens, and this is why everything sort of coming from outside is an inverted copy of real creation. And so this is what they do, because the Sphere Alliance is the sort of this consciousness, and because there is 5 sort of 5 collectives of this consciousness, and they are, I mean, I've showed a lot of times, when I show a piano key, and I say, okay, look at the 5 black keys on piano. That's this Anunnaki consciousness. This is 5 collectives that are here. But on their own, because they don't have the physical template, there is no sound. So they can only work through others, like draconians and humans and other people. So this is what, but for them, you know, they wanted to invade and affect us. And so what is they're masters at tricking us. And so this inverted reflection that's coming from out there, that is all coming from this intelligence that is trying to invade us. Because what do we do when we accept that projected reality or projected creation? When we accept it, we give our creative power to them, because we accept their mirror reflection of that which is our real creation. So that's why a lot of people say, well, you sound like a lot of your stuff is, you know, the same as everything else. It's because everything else is copying the original creation. So yes, it's going to have a lot of similarities, but like we just talked with about orbs. I mean, orbs are just, you know, externalization of your internal technology that's already there through nanotechnology. It's all, the orbs are already within your body, you know. And the thing is, we don't want that. We don't want that taking over. So what we need to do is stop accepting the projection of it. That's the only way.
Right.
And so that's why it seems like I am sort of inverting everything and turning everything upside down, because what I'm trying to tell people is that we are the creators. We came here to this planet to learn how to create light from internal source creation frequency, which is within the core of this planet, because we have to become that creator to be able to reconnect with internal source creation. But a lot of people then inverted that, and that comes that the light frequency is coming, the light coming to enlighten this planet and all of that stuff, when it's not. We created this planet within the core of her, has so much energy that we can create so much. But all these invaders had put their mirrors up, and then they grab our creation, then, you know, take the creative power out of it, and then what we end up having here and accepting as our creation is the manipulated creation that suits them, this consciousness. It doesn't suit humanity. It doesn't suit this planet. It doesn't work for the planet, because all it does, it takes.
Right. Now, we were talking right before the program. Today's August 27th, 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and I listened to a video that you prepared yesterday, or that you put up on the internet yesterday, August 26th, that has to do with Wave X.
Okay.
And you parts of it are very disturbing in a way. You say, if you're still alive next year, it's as though, the Wave X is coming to activate the chemtrails, the nanotechnology that are in our own bodies. And I know that part of what you were doing there was to wake people up. So there was a lot of energy to really, look, guys, wake up. But
Yes, because we are an Earth timeline, and we need, as humanity, take responsibility for our own creation. We need to stop projecting our creative power into outside sources that are only there to take this creative power and then mirror to us the reality that they want for them, that it will suit them to take over our reality. The thing is that the reason why it's this outside sources, outside creation that is trying to actually sneak its way into us and then pretend that it is us. So like through nanotechnology, if it activates, it takes over your nervous system, and you think you are the one who feeling that way. You are the one who in charge, but your actually whole nervous system has been taken over, and you are controlled by this consciousness. So what it's trying to do right now is get in us and trick us that although it is us who is actually creating our reality here, because it's been sort of outed that all of that external is a projection, that it is not our creation, it is manipulated. It is our creation, but it is manipulated, inverted, and mirrored to us. So it's, people need to sort of wake up to that. If we want to hang on to this reality, if we want to get rid of this layer I call it an overlay, because this is the reality. If we wanted to get rid of it and be free, sort of, to create with this planet in oneness, we need to wake up. We need to wake up, and we need to stop paying attention to those that want to invade us. And we need to stop pleasing them, and we need to stop being nice to them. I mean, we've been nice to them for almost 26,000 years.
by being nice to them, you mean what you mean by
we played that, we played into that, and I think I said that the reason none of us sort of really woke up to this, to what you're saying, to how inverted everything is, until 2013. I mean, most of the people, some people started that way, before that, but we really couldn't talk about it because the planet wanted to sort of get to that point where she's capable of activating her timeline. And then once she did that, then everything within us, because we are like her, our core is like her, our spirit is from her. So we, by activating her timeline, within us, we got our DNA activated. In which way? It's not like projection, like what people talk about DNA activation. Again, it's a projection, it's an overlay, but within us is that organic, original blueprint of who we are. before this consciousness invasion. So that's what's waking up. And so when I tell people to wake up, this is what I'm saying, you know, connect to the planet, so you can connect to the planet, and then the planet can give you that wake up call. You know, so she can give you her energy that will wake up your inner DNA that is ancient, as I started calling it, that is the original, before the invasion and plan of this consciousness to take over our physical reality. So we can go back to the original Earth timeline, which is healing and return to source, to where we regain our capability to create on this planet that what we want to create.
Now, from your evaluation, are things now getting better, or are things getting worse?
Well, there is sort of kind of an interesting thing going on, because once you start sort of expanding this original DNA, when it expands, you can see all these gains,
Right.
you know. So we are sort of at war, but it's not, I can't even call it a war, because the planet power is so much more powerful. But, you know, there is tries of this, because what happened is on Ascension was supposed to be, you know, another cycle to where we flipped into a positive timeline that would be a Saturn matrix. So when that would happen, you know, they thought, well, they've got all this stuff. CERN was trying to do what it needed to do, but all of that got broken and nothing happened. Everybody said nothing happened, but something did happen. The planet activated her timeline, but it came sort of from within the core. So outside of us here, humanity, we haven't, you know, we didn't see anything, and we didn't feel anything for a while. And then, you know, a year later, and now we're just expanding, and we're realizing that what we create, we're responsible for it. And so when you are expanding within your energy, with your earth energy, with your spirit energy, when you're expanding, you sort of take control of your creation, and the invaders cannot then get into your creation. But at the same time, you expand, and because you expand, and because they don't have access too much to you anymore, because as you heal, which I call self-healing, you know, as you heal and keep healing your layers of your own invaded blueprint, what happens is this consciousness gets a little pissed off, and so it tries to get in. And it comes up, I've experienced some very tricky ways of it. It tries to get in and try to change things. And it comes in so softly, and that little program, you know, would sound exactly like, you know, like it's all organic and it's all coming from Earth. But then there's just that little twist here, a little twist there. And as I go further and further, you know, it's easier for me to recognize some of those things. But you know, I felt for a few things, you know, that I thought, oh, okay, this is all very similar to what I'm feeling. So the same thing with the collective levels. You know, on the collective levels right now, there is this energy that is expanding too. And what's happening is, you know, they have to create war and this and that to try to sort of allow this consciousness to enter and to be part of us. Like when they create war, what people start doing, they start praying and all of that stuff. And here comes this consciousness in the form of an angel or whatever, you know, and it comes in and takes over that human body. We have so many entities attached to us because they come through trauma, through all kinds of things, and everything in our reality that's been programmed here to make sure that we do receive that trauma so these entities can come in. I mean, we start from the very birth. They have to induce trauma through starting with the birth process. And a lot of entities attached to us through that birth process, because during birth, it's trauma with all the medication, with all the stuff. I mean, that's just an example. But what is happening at the same time, people saying, wait a minute, that's not, I mean, and we had this sort of turnaround when people saying, you know what, this is not what we want as humanity. So, you know, and we'll see now how pushy this energy is. And so the new age and all this theory about ascension and what's coming from us, all of it is projection. None of it is real creation. None of it is real. There is no such a thing as ascension when you are on biogenesis planet, because this whole ascension thing, it was created by this consciousness. So we wanted to leave our bodies for them.
I see.
We were trained like, you know, like a circus animals to do certain things that this consciousness then can feed on. So we are like, you know, trained animals in the circus, have to jump through all the hoops and all of that stuff to get something, not realizing that we're actually capable of having a free life. And a lot of people are starting to recognize that. But our programs of this consciousness and all this AI and every, you know, and our culture has been invaded with the ideas of this consciousness. They're not human. You know, it's not ours. How many people through ascension process said that they hate this planet and they want to get off of this rock? And yet they're still here. Their body's still here. They may not be here anymore. They've been taken over by this consciousness. But we see we see bursts of people saying, okay, wait a minute, no. You know, we're going to take control of our reality. And that's only the way I see it. It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And all these puny ideas that people have that we need to allow something else to come and make us better. It's puny ideas, because these people do not recognize their own connection to inner core of the planet, to the power of this planet, that they're connected to internal source creation power, and that all of it is within the planet and within us. So all these ideas that somehow something out there is supposed to make us better, look where it got us. All these years and years of religions and all of that stuff that were supposed to make us better. We end up in such an unhuman reality through that. We have to stop and say, okay, wait a minute. All of this that is trying to make us humans better, it only makes us worse as humans. So something's wrong here. And this is, I mean, with my sort of direct talk, the way I talk, I want people to just go, okay, wait a minute. You know, there is some truth in there. I mean, we became so unhuman. It's not for our benefit to be unhuman. You know, it's for somebody else's benefit. So we have to turn inwards. We have to recognize that we've been duped, we've been tricked, and we had this sort of silent, invisible war on our bodies, on this planet's body, on our spirit, on our soul. I mean, this has been an invasion. And it is sad for me to see that people are still clinging on to that outside source of power. It is sad because, and the reason why I share, and the reason why I get so emotional, because I, for a little bit, I've experienced the power of this planet, and and I have no words for it, but I just thinking, if every one of us on the planet connects with the planet, I mean, and experiences her power, then all of this that promises, all the promises of all this outside power is just so puny in comparison to the power that is you, that is you, that is your spirit. It's incredibly powerful.
What are some of the ways, because this is kind of taking us and kind of reframing us, and what are some of the ways that we as individuals now can begin to re-experience and connect with the planet? What can we do?
The first is your pure intent. And even when you set that intent right away, the programs in the head will not like it. Because to it, and to this connection, to this consciousness, it's gonna be afraid that it's gonna have to go. So that fear translates into, oh, that's wrong. You're not supposed to do that. That's wrong, and all of that stuff. So your own programs within your mind will start fight you right away. So, I don't have the techniques, because what happened to me, it happened sort of on accident.
Uh-huh.
I'm like a lot of people, and I think you can agree with this. When we are born, we're still very pure. And we are energetically connected to the planet and everything. And so when I was a young kid, my childhood, like most people, it wasn't perfect. And so but I was misunderstood from the very beginning, because from the very beginning, I did actually had a very different point of view than everybody else. So I didn't do that sort of consciously, but every time I would feel stressed and that I'm not fitting in, my biggest thing was I was never fitting in any place. I wasn't fitting in my family. I wasn't fitting in my class in school. I wasn't fitting in with neighbors' kids. I wasn't fitting in church. None of it was right for me. So I naturally found a way to just be with nature. And I lived in Ukraine, and we lived in a place where we had big yard. So it was kind of like a country type of, it was suburbs, but we had plenty of land, and we grew all of our own food, and there was a lot of trees and a lot of open, beautiful spaces. So I just naturally go there, and I always just naturally felt better. So when I was here in America, and I woke up, as many people would say, I woke up again to all the spiritual stuff. And it was 2006, 2007. And then all the way until about beginning of 2012, I was keep searching, and I went through a lot of people and different teachings and different things, and watched a lot of your shows. and watched a lot of people that were in alternative media talking about spiritual stuff, ascension, and everything. And I would get into something, do this stuff, and try to, because I was trying to find my spiritual way. And I would get disappointed every single time. It would just fall apart. It didn't feel real. And I went through a lot of different things. And I'm the kind of person where I get into something, I'm very nosy. So when there's something of interest to me, I want to know everything and anything about it. So on the beginning of 2012, I got to the point where I realized that everything that I've been through and all the teachings I've been through, there was, I mean, I went through the last one and it was like nothing else. And I felt so disappointed because I still was not satisfied. None of it was real. So I went through a sort of a breaking down process. So I went through that breaking down process of realization. Okay, this is all. Why is it fake? What's fake in it? And so I would go through each of those things that I used to be attached to and thought, okay, it has something in there. And sort of all of it in here, all my belief systems that I created through that, I sort of deconstructed and got rid of it. And that was very painful, through a lot of emotional releases and a lot of almost as a sort of a despair that, you know, I put so many years into trying to find all this stuff. And I was sitting there and there was nothing real about it. So I naturally just would go in nature. Just like I did. I wasn't going there specifically. Only later people start saying, oh, well, that's grounding, that's being with nature, that would connect you to the planet. I wasn't thinking that way. I just needed, a tree to sit under so I can cry. So, and that's what I did. And I have this beautiful, beautiful little spot right by my house. And I take my 2 dogs and I'll go there and I'll sit under this tree. And I'm in Colorado. It's very rocky. And this is sort of, this place is has all rocks. And there is this tree that split its root because it's on the rock and put it to the side. And then so its roots were almost outside because there was only rock underneath. There was just a little bit of, And so it created a little seat for me. So I would just go and sit there. It was a very comfortable seat. So, but I would still go back and say, okay, well, maybe there's something else. Maybe something else. And one day all of my belief system was so deconstructed that it was just raw me and the animals around me. And I just laid flat on my back on the ground, and it was just so beautiful. And in one part I was trying to see if I can still meditate, because I could never meditate. So I was like, okay, well, my meditation, and before that I said, you know what, when I'm in nature, it is meditation. So I just laid under the tree and it just looked up, and next thing I know, I feel the energy moving, kind of like a heartbeat. And it goes through my whole body. And then I can hear it, but not with these ears. I can hear it with every cell of my body. And I could feel it within every cell of my body. I could feel that movement. And then all of a sudden, through that, I felt like I am just this one little tiny part of the planet. So only later I started saying, well, I'm just one cell of this body. But in that time, and that lasted for a while, and I laid there, and the release and the understanding started to come. I mean, it's almost, and then it went away when I started thinking about it. Instead of experiencing, I was like, what is that? With my mind. And once I went into my mind, it stopped. But the feeling sort of stayed within my cellular level, I guess. It stayed there. It didn't really go away. And these days, this is I kind of what I do, and this is I always with Lisa Harrison and Danny, I always make these jokes. As soon as I feel sort of pulled too much in my mind, like doing TV shows or radio shows, things like that, then I have to like take it 3 days off and run into the mountains and just be there so I can get that feeling back, because I've realized that that is only active when I'm out of my mind. But
Right.
at the same time, there was a lot of information that there was a lot of information in that feeling, in that, in that energy that I felt. I knew it was just an enormous amount of information there. And so right away, being as nosy as I am, I'm like, okay, I want to know everything. I want to know, I feel I'm part of you now with this planet. What are we doing? What is happening? What is happening? Because I am here broken down completely in a raw. And I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do, but I do have the desire to become a spiritual person. And then little by little, I started, what would happen is I would get this feeling within my body. And then it would take me weeks to try to put words to it mentally. But I kept doing that, and I kept sharing a little bit with people, but that was my experience. And then I started sharing a little bit here, a little bit there, and then once I talked to Lisa, then it sort of picked up, and a lot of people started relating and telling me the experiences that they've experienced, which was very similar, connecting to the planet, to this energy that is her. And then I would just allow later to sort of my spirit to find own words, whatever I have a limited amount of English words there. And the problem is with me, like some people say I should, speak in Russian. Then at 25 years, I'm not using Russian. Very little with my parents and family. So I have that, talk language, but this kind of terminology, I don't have it in Russian. But I would just find the words that I had. And so I would sort of use and find the terminology that would fit the best for me, for my understanding. So, but then later I realized how some of my terminology meant very different to other people, because the words have so many different meanings to different people. And then later figuring in all that out, that how difficult it is for me to find a word sometimes, because the words have always double meaning, because they always have that energy. Our language and everything in our reality will have that opposite flow to where it creates friction. So even one word can create friction in energy. So it'll be a positive and a negative, and it's flipped around. Like from the Russian language, English is completely flipped around. So that's why I kind of talk backwards sometimes, and people have a hard time understanding what I'm really saying, because it's backwards almost. So that was my experience. This is how I've sort of connected with the planet, and this is the information sort of, because it's a feeling that I get, and then I translate it sort of through my own abilities, through my own mental abilities. So have I translated everything correctly? Probably not, because then my personality, I still have certain belief systems. You can't get rid of all of it. It has effect on that. I still have the AI technology within my pineal. I mean, it's still there. There's still so many other layers that are affecting me. So, but I'm sharing with people because I knew, I almost like I couldn't hold off anymore. And because I needed to share with people that we need to take our creation on this planet back. into our hands. We need to take it back from this consciousness, or we will, with this planet, be locked into another cycle. And once we do, that will disconnect us from internal source creation. And we will be on the path, the same path as this consciousness. Because what it does, it keeps recreating. So what it does, it finds another biological template, invades, and then takes over, and then takes on the same technological path that leads to a dead end. This is sort of the two ways that we could have gone on this planet. We either take control of our planet, our creation, and push the invaders out, or we succumb to their invasion and we take that path of dead end, meaning going space dust and becoming this consciousness as well.
Right. That's pretty dire. Do you see any? I mean, they've also talked about the human race splitting off, but is that a where you would have a binary race where there's one race that goes this way, and then another portion of the race that has decided to identify with the planet and to become entrained with the planet. Let's say it's 50-50 or 25-75. Do you see that at all? Or
yes, and I've talked about it a little bit, that yes, we already have that split here. There's people that want to go transhuman. They want to become a technology.
right.
It may not be their own spirit's choice, but through the invasion of this consciousness, that's what they want to create for themselves. And that's even why yesterday in my video I said, that in the end, the choice to heal and be with the planet and be a human being is going to end eventually. And so the only choice for those that are not choosing is going to be to step on the ships or whatever and go the path of this consciousness. But the thing is that we still have this time. And I personally, I don't want to say that's where a lot of humanity will go. And like in my original graph, I said that 85% of humanity, it is mind controlled at that time. That was a year ago. It's probably a lot less today than it was a year ago. But I wanted to be positive, and I know that this planet is very much capable of healing every single person that is on her here. That's a lot. This is why I say when you're alive, you've got to make that choice when you're alive, because once you're dead, and if your soul is harvested through this technology and is taken, then you can't make choice then. That choice has to be made within the body where you still have your body, because the body is what connects you to the planet. So I want to think that all of us, 100% of us, will decide that we want to live on this planet and create our own reality in harmony with the planet, in harmony with each other, in harmony with the rest of the life on the planet, because we're not the only one. The animal kingdoms, everything on this planet, there's so much life here, but yet we all can be in harmony with all life here.
Right.
So I hope, and I, that every one of us as a human being chooses the path of healing, chooses the path of return to source, chooses the path to be own creators, instead of being the creative force for something else. for that is invading us and feeding off of us and all of that stuff. So that's where I am with that. So where are we going to end up? It's really hard to predict, because on Earth's timeline, we sort of create in the now. You can feel the energy movement, or something's already happened and then they haven't manifested yet on energetic level. So you can feel it, you know. But to give predictions is very difficult for me. I can't give predictions. I don't see anything, you know, because to be in Earth's timeline, you got to be in the now moment, right there and there. And so, and even when I sort of give predictions, it is because right there in that moment, when I'm asked the question, I give the answer that my spirit gives.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now, now let me ask you something. You talked about, and you've talked about the soul acting through the pineal gland, and people still acting through the pineal gland technology. Could you explain that for us?
Okay. I think that the thing is, it's a little bit of a terminology here, because soul is an external, so it's a light creation sort of recording, and so a memory, and so soul memory is going through light. But because what happens is the souls here that come in here, you know, because of this invasive consciousness, this invasive consciousness can reprogram souls and all of that stuff. And because they incarnate through the pineal, the soul comes into the pineal. But the key thing is for us is to recognize that our spirit, which is given to us by the planet that we're on, has the memories of everything, and that cannot be manipulated. You know, there is teachings out there how to reprogram your soul and change things, you know, through your soul. That is just reprogramming sort of the external reality, not the internal reality. And so that our spirit is an internal spirit. It is it's the life force. It is that. So a lot of people say, well, that's the soul. I call that spirit, and then soul is just like a record type of thing. And so what happens is, when people consciousness as who they are is not within their spirit, if they're disconnected from their spirit, from their bodies, and they're only here, then they're acting on only that soul memory and not their spirit. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, kind of that the whole living, because one spirit would be connected to the core of the earth, right? To the living. Yeah. That's what the self creating is.
Yes, and so for us, through healing path, what we can do is through our spirit, allow our spirit, which is that organic part of us, to sort of take control and of our soul. Meaning, not take control. I don't know if I have the word for it, but sort of bring that into oneness with the spirit. Bring it into oneness, so your soul is directly connected to the spirit and connected to the planet. So your external reality is completely in harmony with the core of you and the core of the planet. And so what happens a lot with people that decide to station their consciousness there and not connect to their center, not connect to the center of the planet, what happens is it gets manipulated into, and this is what I call soul harvesting, because then our soul is what enters into contracts on astral levels and all of that stuff. This is all our soul. But if you take your spirit and you take that soul into, bring that into oneness with your spirit, then you are in control of that, and you can break all the contracts through your spirit, because now your soul is under control of your spirit.
Right, right. And you say that you say that clues to these astral he says you say that there are many desperate attempts by astral beings and programs who are creating upgrades in unawakened people with mind control programs, trying to reinstall some sort of some sort of matrix timeline, so that you, even as we talk now and we're trying to uh, I liked how you expressed it once, fall down to and fall down to the Earth timeline from from the from the artificial timeline. Even as we're doing that in ourselves, that there's this whole machine, i.e., uh, souls are, first of all, what is the incarnation process? What is the reincarnation process? Is that part of the matrix also?
Yes, the way it is here when we go to the white light and things like that. There is a reincarnation that you can do it through the core of the planet. So when you die, let's say, and this is why I said to uh, when people tell me, so what do we do if when we die? I mean, you set your intent and you tell your spirit, my spirit belongs to this planet. I'm staying with the planet. I'm not going into any white light. And so your intent is very powerful. And so that the white light is pulling your soul into that consciousness, that overlay reality, that consciousness had created sort of through our soul manipulation, all of that stuff. There is the levels where you sort of harvested souls go in. That's heaven, and they just kind of, it's a very mental thing, and it's cycling in there, and then you reincarnate, and they have all this stuff and attach karma. Because if you don't go into the light, you release your karma. So no more karma, because your spirit belongs to the planet, and planet does not have karma.
Right. So
there is a balance, but I wouldn't call it karma, because there is a balance that in life you have to sort of through one life to another lifetime. But if you're being manipulated and all of that stuff, and that keeps you, because it's a whole bunch of lies when people die and they go in there and they say, oh, you were bad, but they won't tell you that they made you to do through your programs all that stuff, so then you can serve that, because it sort of keeps you in that prison. And so the reincarnation through the white light is of course this invasion reality.
right now, you also say most beings on this planet are on a programmed spiritual sacrifice suicide mission via programming from envious astral parasites and hyperdimensional beings. Suicide programs are the shift, the ascension, pole shifts, portal openings, new timelines, grid light workers to open portals and CERN. Could you explain that just a little?
That's a program because it has that extreme polarized duality, each and every one of those layers. Because, and then as soon as you see that energetic blueprint in there, that's a tricky soul harvesting in reality. And because they have to harvest your soul for the next cycle, so they can then exist. Because this is why when you die, you are pulled into their reality. This is why you see angels and all of that stuff. It is their reality. And so you're pulled in there, and then you reincarnate, meaning through the harvested soul, when it incarnates into a body again, into a physical body, that already has programs and all of that stuff installed. So then this consciousness has access to the body that the soul incarnates into. So this is why harvested souls and souls that stay in heaven and all of that stuff, they come in here and they use the body again as a feeding supply, sort of a feeding of energy to this reality, okay, to sustain this reality, because they have no energy whatsoever. They have no source of energy. So they need all kinds of tricks. And so what happens is with people that, with all the spiritual, most of the spiritual teachings that we had, like New Age, and I mean, everything that would put our value as human being in some outside source, that is a trick. So a trick to harvest your soul, so then they can, you know, keep feeding on your next body.
Anything out there. So let's say that I'm lying in a bed and let's say I'm going to have a peaceful death, and I'm lying in a bed and all of a sudden I die, and you know, so I've read about near death experiences where you go up to a portal and then there's a person there, and then they say, do you want to come this way or do you want to go back into your body? What's happening there?
Usually because they will never give you the choice, the right choice. They'll give you two bad choices. If you're dying, I mean, and coming back, a lot of times you're given that choice, because then what is happening is you're programmed through that few minutes. Your soul gets programmed that, okay, you have this mission to do, so go back into your body and do it, okay? Or that's still for their agenda, serving their agenda. But yeah, it is very simple, Alfred. What I have stated, and I told my spirit, you know what to do, because you are now in control of my soul. So I hope that that would be not that choice to go into the white light will not even be presented to me when I'm dying, because my soul is now within harmony with my spirit, and it works in oneness with my spirit. My spirit, because it is planetary spirit, will never leave the planet.
I see. So when you say your spirit will never leave the planet, it means that you are part of the planet.
Yes.
I see. Now, what of the concept of the star seeds, where they say, oh, you're from Andromeda, you're from the Pleiades, you're from X, Y, or Z?
Okay, those are the spirits that are here to heal. They get caught up, just like, you know, the rest of us here in the matrix system and being a food source. That is also coming, and that's a lot of time when people are sort of, you know, all of a sudden wake up and they are told by outside sources that they're, or they could even be told in their own head, you know, through their own, okay, you were from there or you're from here. It's okay, you know. There's and in my graph I said that 97% of our population that is within a human collective, 97% of people have come from different places.
I see.
You know, they have souls from all over the place.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the key thing here is that, why did you come here? So for star seeds, because they also have that inverted thing, I gotta go back home. Why would universe send you somewhere so you come empty-handed back the way you were? A lot of people in ascension community say, well, we gotta go back and be, you know, light beings the way we were then, or, you know, over there on this planet or that planet. What you had there is experiencing light on that planet, then it was a time for you to heal your fragmentation. So your soul came into the planet and incarnated on the planet that provides the path of return. So what you need to learn what to do is to take that experience in whatever planet you were at, or whatever your experience in light existence was. What you do is to bring it here, and you learn how to become part of the planet. So you bring all of that memory, and this is how internal creation sort of exists, is that through, you can't just take a breath out and not take a breath in. I mean, it's so all of that, but because it's external existent, light existence has to come back and become a breath in, meaning that all that memory of existing and all that fragmentation that needs to be brought back into internal creation. So what is happening, all your experiences are not there to be forgotten, but to be brought into oneness again. So, and like in here in our case, our planet is that planet that has the capability through incarnating on it, that you bring all of your fragmentation into oneness. And so what happens is that, let's say, multidimensional beings, and people say, and a lot of people in this inverted teachings of the real biogenesis, real healing, they would say, when we are 12th dimensional beings, we are all sort of, we're light beings and we're perfect. Well, when you look at it, you start with the higher dimension, and then you fragment into lower dimension, lower dimension, and lower dimension. Why would you want to go through 12 grades of school, come to exam tests to move forward, to exam planet, to move forward into college? Why would you come here, pass the test, to go back to first grade? That would be the reason for that is that enclose and repeat same cycle over and over again. That comes from this consciousness.
I see.
Because it wants to repeat. It wants to repeat its existence in light, because it doesn't have the ability to take a path back. So,
right.
So it wants to energetically, entrapping souls in that idea of repeating same experience over and over and over again. Literally, this consciousness is insane. It's doing the same thing over and over and over again, trying to come up with a different result. But yet none of it is working, because it is insane. And so we've been infected and invaded by this consciousness, and we do this insane things. And same thing with, becoming a 12-dimensional being. What does that mean? Does that mean that I have to forget my mastery? That, you become a master when you are capable to bring all your existence, all your fragmented existence, into oneness, into one fragment of you, which is a human being. So all of that existence in light has to come within oneness within you. That's the healing path. That's the path of return to oneness. But how many times you've had so many guests that are talking about oneness that is somewhere over there? It's insane. You are one, and all of your existence and all of your experiences are within you. It is like the memory of that, just like I tap into memory of this planet, but yet it is within myself. It is somewhere here within my biological body. All of that information is stored. And same thing with, it doesn't matter what path you took in light creation. Why we are here is to bring that in oneness in this body, in this one body that we have. So, but as like I said, most of all of this that we have here on the planet has been invaded by this insane consciousness that wants to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. So let's say we ascend to a 12th dimension. Okay, what are we going to do? Fragment again into a 3D. And then we're going to come to a 3D again. And then we're going to come to a planet like that. And they're going to tell us, okay, you got to become a higher dimensional being. So you're going to do the same thing again. And the reason we don't have memories of our existence, it's just little pieces here and there, because those memories are turned off. Because if they turn on all of our memories, then we're going to say, why in the world do we have to repeat same experience? If we already went through it and we mastered it, why do we need to repeat that? So this is why we lose all of our memory of our multidimensional self and everything, because this way, that's a trickery to trick us into coming back to the beginning of this enclosed cycle that they've created. And then we can create, because we're the creators, so we can create for ourselves that same enclosed cycle.
Right. Now let me ask you this. Right now in certain communities, there are belief systems around prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time of the end prophecies, that after this is coming a prophesized time of a great sort of paradise on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And what that would correspond to in this paradigm would be that the bulk of humans become awake and become awake as part of Earth, and become attached to Earth, and detached from the matrix, and the matrix loses power. The artificial intelligence loses power. Earth heals the artificial intelligence, and there's more awakening and consciousness on Earth. And that's supposed to happen at a specific time. Some people believe that there's a savior coming, a Messiah, or, all of these things. How do you feel about all of these developments?
The savior and Messiah thing, strictly, again, inverted, projected, outside source sort of saving. It is also, it does two things. It opens you up to asking for that consciousness to invade you. When you're asking Jesus to come into your life, that's asking that consciousness to come in and take over your body and your life and all of that stuff. And it's also designed to keep you away from recognizing that you have the source energy within you. So to keep you constantly in that projected reality. So that's what and the savior meme thing is very strong right now with a lot of people, because this consciousness is very desperate, because like I said, You know, when you ask what's Earth is doing, Earth is sort of trying to, in Earth's timeline, is trying to bounce off all this, you know, attempts. And so what is happening when humanity is waking up to their own power? What happens? You get a lot more of that. Oh, here's the savior. Here's the savior. Here's this is going to save us. This is just to turn you around so you don't recognize your own power. You don't recognize that you're your own savior. So there's this saviors. I mean, Sphere Alliance is here to save us. You know, there is, you know, aliens are coming to save us. I mean, there is a whole bunch of, I mean, it's a huge line of saviors up there in astral levels. You know, there is a big line of saviors, but yet none of it really is sticking, because on the whole collective humanity level, it's not sticking anymore, because the Earth has given us that sort of burst of energy quietly, to where we, a lot of us on the planet, had recognized that it's us. We are our own saviors. We have the power to heal and disconnect from this reality, this invasive reality. And so we have the power. So when that power surges within humanity, what you're going to see is a lot more things that are going to be projected on the planet. Just like I was saying, this wave X, it is a projection that is trying to keep you external. And the reason it's X, because X is Saturn.
I see.
So it connects you to Saturn, because you have to connect. The thing is, they did not reinstall Saturn matrix. So they are sort of trying from the very beginning and hook planet and people on to that frequency, so it locks in. And I go in my videos, in my previous videos on my YouTube channel, about more details on that, how all that energetic connections need to happen for Saturn matrix to actually be active on the planet. Excuse me. But it hasn't worked yet. So, but this wave X, this wave X,
water or something, or?
Yeah, can you give me a second? Let me grab a water.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you. So what I was saying about that is that right now, what they have to do is rehash all this technology, internal technology that we have thanks to this consciousness. And they built a lot of technology on the planet. CERN is one of those. You know, there's, you know, it's just one of many different technological sort of machines that are strictly for the purpose of energetic connection, you know, because this planet is very powerful. So, you know, to lock her in, it takes a lot of power. Right. So all sort of, there's no stops with anything. That this is why there's so much preparation with all of this, so they can hit us all at once. Like we have a lot of that, oh, September is going to be this, and this. It's because This planet is so powerful that they got to gather everything they've got and sort of hit it at one time.
At, at one time. So you also say, and you say, all you need to do, all we need to do is to heal, harmonize, balance your frequency with the earth, release traumas, mental astral programs, and false spiritual hierarchy beliefs. Integrate mental, emotional, physical, i.e. integrate soul and spirit to organic earth, internal source creation, heart, love, centered. That seems to summarize to summarize the formula. And we're coming to the end of this segment, but I wondered if in that with that thought, if you could elaborate more how we can lead our lives focused on that, and really focus on that kind of integration, harmonization, and healing, and make that the focus of our lives.
We need to return to our original intent. And our original intent is multi-layer. On every level, in every layer, we have been invaded. Recognizing that invasion, but not rejecting it. I never say reject anything that is about you. I say look at it from a human perspective. Understand what it's trying to do, and through that, and as new agey it's going to sound, give love to that would invade you. Just love and laugh a lot. The laughter part is so important, because you healing yourself, meaning you recognizing the programs, the invasion within you. Laugh at it. Give it a little bit of a love and say, give me some interest in life, because this invasion, it did really give us a great experience, But the thing is, we had enough of that and say, okay, you're trying to invade me, but this is my reality, and I'm going to encompass you into my reality. So I take responsibility even for the program stuff that we did. So take self-responsibility and say, okay, I am responsible for that which happened to me. Let's say, I was heavily programmed through religion. Huge, and at first, yes, you get angry at it, but right now, I laugh about that a lot. And that seemed to sort of, there is, you don't put you don't love something that's doing bad for you, but you take in responsibility. You're saying, okay, that was a program, that's what I did, this is what happened. Right now, and with every level of our life, we have to look at it for what it is and say, okay, that's what it was. And now I am in harmony with the planet, and I'm going to work on that. And if I work on that for the rest of my life, the joy of healing, every level, be it small, be it little, once you heal that, you have a few laughs at yourself. It is incredible, and you are grateful for that experience. That healing experience becomes not something that was difficult or hard to do, even though it was hard to do. It becomes your freedom, because every time you release any of these programs or beliefs or any of this energy that is there to invade you, when you release it, you become more and more free. You become more, your energetic body expands more, and it expands in love. it is incredible to feel that healed feeling of unconditional love. You look at the animal or you look at the plant and you're gonna love it. And the love that you give to it is not taking something away from you. It is expands you because you're the one who's gonna feel the love for everything. So there's a huge benefit to our personal healing is feeling the love, that unconditional love that is given to us through our spirit, that is given to us through this planet. This planet is so loving. And the more we heal, the more we release. Let's release this negativity and release this fake positivity. Let's release it, and then we become who we are. We're one with ourselves. We're one with the planet. And it's just everything in your life becomes joy. And I know it's cliche for me to say that, but I don't have any other words. But it feels you're just full of love. When you heal yourself, when you release all those boxes and all those limitations that you're supposed to do this, or you're supposed to meditate, or you're supposed to pray, or you're supposed to, you're supposed to make yourself better and prepare yourself for this energy or that energy. All of that is limiting your inner life force. Just allow your life force to be. And because your life force is human in its nature, it is naturally loving. So this is where we're going back. This is sort of this, like you were saying, this beautiful planet and the life on it. It is when we are human, and human means loving life, loving everything, and being equal to all creation. But when you're full of that love, you respect and you recognize that little piece of weed on the side of the road is alive, and it is equal to you. So you'll respect it because you respect your own life. You respect your own life force that is given to you by this planet.
Right. Now, one of the things that I personally am very grateful for that you've provided is that you've started and you maintain a healing group on Facebook. Do you want to talk a bit about that, or?
Yes, it's called Earth Soul Group. Because I don't have a website or anything, so all I have is my Facebook page and this group. So that was because it is about self-healing, because it's our self-responsibility, and nobody else. It's just like I said, no outside source can do it, so it's within us. But sharing, I felt like sharing your healing process with everybody else. It helped other people to sort of put themselves into, or at least have somebody who's going through the same thing. So we've created that group, and it's been attacked ever since. We had a lot of funny shit happening in there, but it is very lively, and people are sharing there, and I have a beautiful group of people that are admins in there. They're doing a great job in trying to keep it sort of balanced for everybody, because we have a lot of people coming in there trying to sort of pull us out of the 0 point, pull us out of the center. And you would think that it's just a little group on Facebook and nobody would care about it. But people come in. Recently, what happened with you, people came in, we allowed them into the group, and then they took your statement, twisted it, turned it, and spit out something that it was, completely different. And there, so you are in that group, and you've experienced right away how some people are just coming there with so much desire to destroy it.
Well, the way that I experience that is that is that is that is the AI.
Yes.
Love attracts its opposite. Because I sincerely experienced this healing. I sincerely experienced an internal healing, especially following the articles and video that you wrote about some of my programs, and that was very, very helpful to me. And so I really went in there and I just expressed my process, and then I think that is the AI that comes in and then has to take it and try and neutralize it, or somehow alter it, or
Yes.
disempower it.
Because it is sort of a survival mode. It
Yeah.
goes into survival mode, but because it doesn't really, I mean, it's all programs. It doesn't have sort of, that human touch to it. So
Yeah.
it's just programs. So then it spits out, these people are become attracted, and they want to come in and get into the group. I had people that I knew that they were just there to cause problems or do something. I mean, they would write me an email and saying, I am such a good person, I just want to learn. And then you let them in, and then boom, is they're there to create chaos.
Yeah.
And people think that somehow those acts are not going to be noticeable, and it got to the point right now where the admins in the group they're all such a nice people, and I said, okay, well, we can be nice to a point. Like what happened with you, I said, that guy that came in and did what he did in a private group, took everything, just fishing for stuff, he's out right away. No questions asked, no warnings, enough.
Right.
We got a little bit, we learn,
Yeah.
get a little bit more strict and call people out right away. And so say, okay, well, we see what you're doing. This is what you're doing. We understand it's a program. And, honestly, some people had a huge breakdown of their programs in there. That would come in and create sort of huge storm. And then they would come back, days later or months later or something, and say, wow, that was weird experience here, but something did happen here.
Yeah, no, I can personally attest that there's a deep healing force at the center of that group. And I know that I was led to that group. I mean, there was a force that took me into that group and that pushed me into it and said, you need to be here and you need to heal. And
the one thing I can guarantee you, that every person that will step on this healing process will get some kind of AI or, reaction to your choice. It can come in many different and weird ways. It could be your spouse, it could be your child, it could be your friend, it could be a group on Facebook, it's all these things. But once you make that intent and you choose to self-heal, that will not like your choice. So it's not, and some people say, well, I've chosen to step on a healing path, but I come into your group and then all of a sudden all this bad stuff started happening. And it's like, okay, well, and then they say it's your group responsible for that. No, it's just what it does is, because the intent of the group is for self-healing.
Right.
So to turn people into themselves, try to figure out their own things, their own programs, and be open about it. We all been duped, we're all been manipulated, we all been invaded, and we have to have a bit of an honesty about it. And I thank you for your honesty in the group, because that's its intent. And then people in the group, and especially the admins in there, they're very, very supportive of the healing process, but they're not going to be supportive of programmed people coming in there trying to sort of create chaos and
Right. Now you mentioned your YouTube channel, and I know that I go there very often because each of your YouTubes are very instructive, and you have a certain way where you create visual lessons for people, and I think it's good that could you tell us more about that and how people can find that?
There is also a channel that called Earth Soul Group channel, and in there's all of my videos and also all of my interviews.
Oh, good.
So there's also another channel, and then there is my channel where it's just my little unprofessional videos.
I would have said that.
With my doodles. It's my way. The way it started with the videos is my way of trying to communicate, because writing to me, I never went to school. Here in America, I was 21 when I moved to America, so I never went to school here. So writing for me is very difficult. But I sort of picked up and I know just talk language, speaking language. So that was it. Started I started making those little videos for just like 5 people because I couldn't write all that stuff down, but it sort of keep continuing, and it's just the easiest way for me to express what I'm feeling or what's happening with me, and where I see myself going. And so for that, I know that there is we're all sort of going through a similar process of healing, because we all have many layers to heal. So that was just my way of sharing and give the visuals, because I'm always worried that people will not understand me. So I try to do visuals and things like that to where I get my point across, and that is clear. And because I also have a lot of sort of people out there, I didn't think it would be that, but there's a lot of people online right now that sort of use my name and attach my name to something that is not sort of what I am saying. So I have to be really, really clear. So my doodles help me to kind of get my point across.
Good.
Because the thing is, this consciousness right now, it's trying to create the inverted copy of the original. And through healing ourselves, we are also learning to create and be the original creators of our existence. And so there is a lot of people that are coming really close to what I'm saying. And there's little twists here and there, and even people that are very popular started, like this guy Ruiner. It kept copying my videos and stuff, and adding little twists to it. But at least he didn't add my name to it, but some people add my name to something twisted. So when I talk, I have to be really, really clear. And that's why I repeat myself a lot sometimes, because I want to get my point across. So people understand that what I'm trying to say. So it will be hard to twist.
Good. Very, very good. And we'll put all of the links to the groups and to the group and to the various channels. Well, we really want to thank you, Lily, for first of all, for your work, for your discoveries, for sharing those discoveries with us, for showing us how we can participate I mean, I don't think that I could have discovered this on my own. I know this. I mean, here it was 3 months ago. I thought I knew everything about exopolitics. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about the artificial intelligence. I mean, it's mind blowing. And so I really want to thank you for the work that you're doing, opening up this whole vista for us, and for having taken time out today to join us. And I hope that in the future, as events develop, you can join us again.
Thank you, Alfred, for having me. It was a pleasure to have a chat with you like that, and I really appreciate that you because I don't have any credentials. I just
you always say that. You know, we're all self-taught in this field. We're all self-taught.
And there was times when I didn't think that I would be on your show. I mean, I never thought I would be. So when you asked me to be on your show, I was pleasantly surprised. So Thank you so much for having me. And I thank you so much for being part of my Earth Soul group, and you know, being part of the healing, collective healing that we are trying to achieve there. Because we are all sort of, it is about individuals, but it is also about all of us, because we are brothers and sisters. We're all human. And I think once we heal enough to the point where we recognize our humanity, we recognize the value of being a human being, then we can create collectively a beautiful existence on this planet. This planet is incredibly beautiful, and so we are. We're incredibly beautiful beings. So, and collectively, we can express the collective creation that is within the human interest and not anybody else.
What a hopeful a hopeful vision. Thank you so much.
I know a lot of people think I'm negative, so I'm like, oh, I think I'm way too positive.
No, I think that you've actually turned it so that, wow, we've all gotten a new kind of vista and a new path forward. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Good night.